Welcome to Align Your Practice, an exploration of the seamless relationship between the business of chiropractic and the future of natural health care. Join us as we engage with an array of talent, from seasoned experts to passionate new entrepreneurs. Now, here's your host, Dr. Joe Esposito.
Hello, Dr. Joe Esposito. Welcome back to the Align Your Practice podcast. I'm here with our guest for today, Jeff Hallberg. How are you doing, Jeff?
Doing great, Joe. Good to be with you today.
Yeah, I'm excited for this topic we're going to talk about what are the most important factors when picking your new location. And, I remember the first time I picked a location, I had so much emotion because I liked the windows, I think it was. And I was like, let's sign this lease. I like the windows. I didn't know what per square foot cost was. I didn't even know what that meant. Someone said that TI initials. I didn't know what that was. I just wanted the lease. So as a doctor, you spend so many years to get to the point of getting the lease. I mean, licensing and boards and classes. And it's like, by the time you're ready, you can't see straight. You just want to move forward. So I love working with Jeff. He works with us at Align Life, and we've had such great successes in him uncovering a lot of the unknowns. And the reason I really love Jeff is because he loves chiropractic as much as us chiropractors do. So when you talk to him, you're probably going to call him doctor because that's what he sounds like when he talks. But he's really there to support you. So I guess, Jeff, let's start a little bit about you.
Yes.
You've been around in leasing big organizations. You chose this niche in our profession, which we're so grateful for. Give us a little history and the background, and then your passion in moving into the chiropractic realm.
Yes. So my background's 25 years in commercial real estate. I started on the development side, building large anchored retail mixed-use centers with Home Depot and Target and grocery anchored retail centers, working on behalf of the developer ownership, which would be the landlord, and or working with tenants. Fast forward to roughly 16 years in my career, I was blessed to have the opportunity to work with a young doctor who went into a center that we were leasing. And through that relationship, he educated me on the principal side of chiropractic. Up until I met this particular doctor, I had only thought the only reason you'd ever need a chiropractor is because you have neck and back pain. And where I was sorely mistaken was in that when he educated me on the subluxation and how when you're subluxated, what it is doing to your central nervous system. And, by that subluxation, it's putting downward pressure on your central nervous system, which is the tree of life in your body, which can cause you to have many other maladies and afflictions that face you on your in your daily life, that you might be going to your primary care physician to get a pharmaceutical drug, which is really a Band-Aid on the real problem, which is stemming from that subluxation. To be candid, I was blown away because I felt myself to be a very well-educated person up to that point, but I'd only been educated to condition to believe the only reason I need a chiropractor is for neck and back pain. So through that education, it became a part of my mission to open as many principal care chiropractic offices in the country as I possibly could, so that other people around the United States and North America could get educated as well on the power of chiropractic and the incredible benefits it can have in your daily life should you be struggling with your subluxation, which is causing certain maladies and afflictions that you're facing, and or just being on a continued care health plan with a chiropractor so that you can avoid the proverbial breakdown of your body while just properly maintaining it. It has been a blessing to me. So it was a part of my career because I've had the opportunity to open about 480 principal care chiropractic offices around the country and Canada in the last 9 years.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes.
400. That's interesting. That is the impact of you educating people through getting people open, getting them communicate. I love that. So what have you noticed? Like, you go from this big retail like a Home Depot, which have people that are renting Home Depots. These are established real estate experts that represent Home Depot.
Correct.
To the doctor that just got out of school. I was kidding around a little bit about it, but really there's some serious concerns kids getting out with 350,000 in debt. And the one thing I say is the mistakes you make now can last 10 years.
Yeah.
That's the difference. In college, they could last a year. When you're in a sandbox with a 3-year-old, maybe 3 seconds. But the length of risk goes up once you get your license and you're out there. Like, what is your feeling? I'm sure your heart's out like, oh my God, they know nothing about this. I have to educate, because I see you educate a lot versus just do an LOI, right? I mean, that's kind of mindset. That's what I love.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, I'm very passionate about commercial real estate. And I'm very passionate about chiropractic as well, because once I got educated, being a well-educated person, I could only imagine the people around this country that were like myself and were conditioned to believe you'd only need a chiropractor if you had neck and back pain. So with each opportunity, most of my docs are fresh out of chiropractic school. They have chosen maybe not to go the associate route, or they were an associate for a year or so and have decided to open their own practice. So with that, there's a lot of risk that would be involved, because they have to they still have all their student loans, they have limited amount of assets, they have to more than likely go out and get a business loan to get this practice open. So there's a lot of different pitfalls that I try and educate them on the front end, so they can make the best decision for themselves as they look to open this first practice. The one main thing I always condition my clients to understand is that, your first practice doesn't have to be your dream practice location. It needs to be a location where, in the market that you want to open, where you feel like you can build your brand and start educating that market on the principal side of chiropractic. And then once you've established yourself in that market, then you look to go and potentially buy your dream location or lease a much bigger space that you that suits your needs at that time. I'd rather a student fit 5 pounds or 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag and be humble and start with humble beginnings and focus just on getting their message out in the community, versus overextending themselves with a space that they just fell in love with, that's too big, is going to cost them too much money, and put them behind the proverbial 8 balls. They're trying to get this business off the ground.
So with that being said, let's say, they have a fixed amount of money, and we know the risks that are out there. Let's walk through this together, what we think are the top things, concerns when picking a new location. I got my list, but I want to hear your first one. I got a bunch of thoughts.
Yeah. I think one of the main things to start with is making sure that you're capitalized properly. You're more than likely going to have to get a business loan to get the business open, because there's construction costs more often than not in getting this practice built out. And therefore, I always tell my docs that, when you're going out and getting an additional loan, it's better to have it and not need it than want it and not have it. So make sure that you're capitalizing the business properly, because one of the number one reasons small businesses fail is because they are undercapitalized.
Great point. Is people think I need exactly X. And when I tell them to get a loan, let's say it's 320, 340, and they're like, wow, that's a lot. I'm like, well, the project's 280.
Right.
So you can't get 280, because what if you have a bad day? What if something happens? I don't want you to spend all that money, but you got to have it and deny it, give it back. But you can't not have the dollar. So I love that you said that. It's so important.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ways you can combine it. Maybe you don't need the full 280, so you get it in a form of maybe a small business loan on a line of credit, and you use your small business loan first because you're paying interest on it, and then you draw down on the line of credit, which is more your safety net, as you need it. So therefore, you're only paying interest on what you're drawing down, versus as you are right when you sign on your small business loan, you're paying interest day one. So it's a good way to not only get the money you need, but also not have to pay for all the money that you would receive.
Yeah, very, very important. The next one for me, being capitalized, is one. The second one would be truly understanding the build out costs. And I love that you and Glenn at Davlin work together, and you're brilliant minds, and work with our team member, Tom Chandler. And it takes a lot of big brains to make it perfect. And you guys are rock stars I've seen you guys save, just you and tenant improvement, let's say $40,000 that the doctor would have never have gotten. And then I've seen Glenn take a build out that was already laid out and save 30, 40,000 in changing the way you wire it. So you're not running wire or dropping the new drop ceiling, but keeping the ceiling. Just little tweaks. I'm shocked. Sometimes it's 40, 50,000 on that as well. Like collectively between you guys, it could be $80,000 sometimes in dollars. So that must be fun to uncover those and help the doctor who has limited funds, right?
Oh, it is. And you just making sure that they understand the entire process and what would go into getting a space built out, and what a big, thing I let them know is, remember, what your practice looks like day one might not look like what not won't look
Good point.
exactly the same as it is in year three. You're going to add to it. The key is having a nice, clean, safe environment in a good location so you can get open for business and start building your brand in the community, and adding to your space, as funds come in and as you see at your discretion, to make it more, so to speak, your own home as you grow with it versus what it might be on day one.
Yeah, so that's a good point. Another point is don't build your dream practice right out of school. It's your next practice. You sign a 5-year note. You get some tenant improvement dollars. TI stands for tenant improvement, meaning you as the tenant are going to improve the location. It may just be a box called a white box, vanilla shell. It's just it's a box basically, and you have to do the build out. Well, you'd be surprised what it takes to do that build out. I would say 5, 6, 7 years ago, I remember writing checks of 40 or 50,000 to do a build out for the same place. Now that same build out is 90 to 120, the same build out. So it literally, in my eyes, and you would know better than me, but I'd say like 100% increase in cost to get that thing built out, which is crazy amount of money, right? So you got to make sure you don't overbuild. Don't build 9 adjusting rooms when you're just getting out of college because you want to hire 4 doctors. Like, don't be thinking big out the box because you only have so many dollars.
Yeah, like I said, you don't want to overextend yourself. Be humble. Smaller is better. It's better to grow out of something than need to grow into something. This
Yeah.
is going to save you costs all the way around. As you just mentioned, I like to kind of paint the mental picture for my clients, and picture a cell phone store. When you walk into the cell phone store, minus all the phones and the cabinets, the display cabinets, you have one big white box. You got a bathroom there. You can turn the lights on, turn the heating and air conditioning on. Maybe that's concrete floors or not. And then you got to go and put 2 exam rooms, 3 adjusting areas, if you're doing x-ray, an x-ray suite into the space, in a front office for yourself and your CAs. What you have is all the bones are there. A lot of the big ticket items like your heating, your electrical, and your plumbing are in, and now you're building within that box, because those are 2 different types of locations that docs look at, right? One, they might walk into and it is the second generation space, i.e. the cell phone store example, or it's a gray box, which is nothing's in there yet. It's still dirt floors, no walls. So really understanding the construction costs between the 2 different deliveries by the landlord is a big factor in knowing how to negotiate your deal.
Yeah, good point. The other point I do when picking a new location is I look at city development and look at what's going on. Sometimes you're going to shut down the road in front of your office. I've seen chiropractors go bankrupt.
Yes.
Sometimes they're building the new Walmart and the new Home Depot on the other side of town, and they're not going to be investing on this side of town. Like things like that just give me a little bit more insight. I also recommend you go to the local beautician that's been there for 30 years, or the shoemaker or the pizza place, and talk to people at the town, what they feel, what they know, and don't just sign these leases, even though you negotiate a good lease without knowing the area. You agree with those points?
Oh, exactly. And especially like in your own center, that if you love a space, go talk to the guy who's next door. How do you like your landlord? Is he responsive when you have a problem?
Smart.
Do they keep the centers clean and professional? Do you feel comfortable here? I mean, do you feel comfortable at nighttime? Because it's funny. Yeah, when you ask a co-tenant, they're very easy to let you know how great or how bad it is very
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah. That's true. Um, well, you said something there that I think is important that we don't talk about enough, and that is make sure you like and are comfortable. But you like the area, even if Jeff gets you the best deal possible per square foot, and it's the greatest deal, and you simply don't like the energy of your office or the space or the lighting or the complex. Don't do a good deal that's not a place you want to be. It has to energetically be your place. So really, don't take your heart out of the mix
Mm.
when you're making these business decisions. And people like Jeff or myself, we're here to guide you and make sure you don't make mistakes. But you have to, it has to be something that you desire to serve in that capacity. So I think that's good that you just touched on that.
Yeah, it needs to meet your mission, and what you want to convey to the community as it relates to educating them on chiropractic and the incredible benefits of chiropractic, and why someone like myself, or that only thinks or only thought that you would need a chiropractor because you have neck and back pain, all the other incredible reasons why you might want to get under a continued care health plan with a chiropractor.
Yeah, no, it's so huge. Um, Other factors on picking your location. Um,
I would say the number one factor for me is parking. You can't sign people up for, say, 11, 12, $1,300 a month and continued, or per year, excuse me, and on a continued care health plan when they come to you for a 10 to 15-minute adjustment. It takes them 20 minutes to find a parking spot. As many people, when they're getting chiropractic care, they're getting it as supplementary care, and they're usually getting it on their way to work, on their way home from work, or on their lunch hour. So the key is to make your location as convenient as possible, because you never want your location to be an objection to great care. And I find the number one objection, not only for chiropractic but any other retailer and or user, is when they don't have enough parking. And people, nothing will upset someone more than when they're coming to you for a 5-10 minute adjustment and they take them 20 minutes to find a parking spot.
it's so true because the retention, you think it's just your communication in the office, but when they're walking half a mile or waiting 20 minutes to find a spot, you're not going to keep retention. So make sure you have, and that's something that Jeff will do is look at that, look at the location, the square foot, the parking.
Ingress, egress, your access potentially to highway interchanges, because what you're going to find is once you start educating the community, people that don't even patronize the center that you're in are going to be driving, coming to that center just to see you. So that you want to make your access as easy as possible. So someone like myself, say I was going to go see my chiropractor, who is, 25-minute drive from me, but it's 10 minutes to my interchange on the highway. But when I get off at the interchange at his location, it's 2 minutes. So it makes the access, the ingress, makes it very easy. Another thing to don't get too caught up in is, remember, I educate my clients to understand that, we're a niche use. We don't need, ideally, we want our center to have a lot of great exposure. So if you're giving a health talk or doing a screening, that it's easy for someone that has never been to your center to find that center. You don't have to have Starbucks space or Subway space who's paying top dollar in that same center. You can take a harder to lease space within the same center and get the same value as the Subway or the Starbucks and pay a whole lot less, because you're taking space that's much harder for the landlord to lease, because we're not an impulse buy. We're people are coming directly there to see us.
It's true. You got a referral from someone they know. They're not they're going to come to your location because they have GPS. They know where you're located. You're going to get not only referrals, you're going to get digital advertising coming. Again, they have the address, they have GPS. Those days are over where they're trying to figure out where you are. It's very clear, and you can be off the main strip and save as high as 30-40% in some cases.
Easily.
Right?
Yeah. For instance, as I mentioned, the doc who introduced me to Principal Care Chiropractic, he's in a center where he's paying $17 a square foot. We have Subway in the same center paying $40 a square foot.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Think about that, guys. Over double the cost per square foot per month.
In the same center.
In the same center. So how much more patients are you going to get around the corner in the same center? You're just not going to double the value.
Yeah, because Subway needs to be on the corner, right? You're driving down the street and you're like, oh, I'm hungry. There's Subway. You can pop in. If someone walks in your door because they saw the signed chiropractor or your chiropractic logo and becomes a patient, that's going to be 0.01% of your entire patient load, if that.
So, so true. Awesome. Well, that's a good introduction. We're gonna have let's do other podcast breaking down the lease, because there's so much juice inside the lease, and that's why I really like that you support the doctors.
Most definitely.
So in closing, if you guys are looking to lease, definitely reach out to Dr. See, I called him Doctor too. Look at that. Reach out to Jeff Hallberg. We'll have his information in the show notes below. And any final thoughts, Jeff?
I'm always happy to help and use my knowledge to help educate anyone out there looking at a location, trying to understand their costs. My background not only is in site selection and negotiation, but it's in finance and construction. So any of the Align Life docs are more than welcome to call me at any time if they just want to bounce something off me. If they've heard something, I'm more than happy to help.
Awesome. Great. Thanks again, Jeff, for getting on. I appreciate it.
You're more than welcome. Thank you.
This episode was brought to you by Align Life Chiropractic and Natural Health Centers. If you're interested in creating your dream practice or want to know more about Align Life, go to alignlifepodcast.com.